I think we all have been waiting for the past 2 years for Klay Thompson to eventually make his return because his prime's been being wasted and there's nothing he could have done about it. And for about half the time that he was gone, it seemed like the Warriors were doomed, but for the second half, it seems like they're back to their old ways, you know, being the top team in the NBA. I think we all been hoping that Klay Thompson's return would be honestly something memorable, and it's going to be on national television, because we have recently learned that the NBA has this ability to switch national television games, which I don't think they've ever done in a while at least. Now, of course, there is workout footage with Klay Thompson working with the Golden State Warriors and also their G League team. But I'm someone that believes that workout footage does not always tell the full story and that you need to see them in game. Anyone could easily manipulate workout footage to make a player look good or bad. But I think it's safe to say that from a health standpoint that Klay Thompson looks very good. Recently there's been some news about Klay Thompson that just came out talking about that he's been assigned to the Warriors G League team. Now when this came out, some people were confused. They thought maybe he was going to play in some G League games, but this practice is actually very common in sports. For example, in baseball, it is a very common practice for a player to be sent to the minor leagues after a big injury. It is very temporary, it doesn't last long, but it still does happen. The goal is for the player to start working out with players that aren't exactly at the top level that they want to be, but just start getting back into their form. I must admit, I have never heard of this practice for basketball. I didn't even know this was a thing. Nevertheless, it does make sense and it doesn't seem that far off that the Golden State Warriors would try to exercise this. So I don't think Klay Thompson will actually be playing in a G League game to make his debut. Technically, I think he'll just be working out and practicing with the G League team. And I will say, from the footage we have, Klay Thompson does look back to normal. He looks really good. I mean, he's making shots left and right. He's looking really good in the post. His defense is looking just as good as it was before. So I think it's safe to say that Klay Thompson does look good physically, at least out of being able to play basketball standpoint. However, with the rise of Jordan Poole going from a guy that was averaging 12 points last year to now 18.1 points per game, I think it's safe to say that the Warriors are in a little situation, because no one, not even myself, not even the biggest Warriors fan, would have told you Jordan Poole was going to be this good. I mean, when you look at it though, every single year he has progressed. His rookie year he was averaging around 8 points per game. His sophomore year he averaged around 12 points per game, and this season he's averaging a modest 18. To be honest, I don't know what's crazier, the fact that they got this guy with the 28th overall pick or the fact that he was playing for the G League. I mean, he did average 26 points per game in his first season with the G League team. So I think it's safe to say that this guy was a hidden gem that the Warriors must have known that he was going to develop. I mean, you never know with the Golden State Warriors, they always have a little trick up their sleeve. Now, we've all been waiting for a while on a Klay Thompson update, and we finally got one last night from Woj, who basically said that Klay Thompson's return is supposed to stay the same. However, he did mention the fact that he could play around 25 to 30 minutes in a game if he honestly wanted to. However, Golden State's taking an approach that I honestly do like. Basically, they want Klay Thompson to be conditioned where he can play more than 25 to 30 minutes, which I mean, I like, and if I was in Klay Thompson's position, I would want to be back on the court right now. I would want to make my return, but you could obviously tell that they're being smart about it. I think it's safe to say we know that his return is going to be very soon, because what the Warriors have been announcing is that they have basically been increasing his minutes when it comes to the G League team, which is definitely a step in the right direction, but there are some other things that the Warriors now have to focus on. Now, things that came out about Klay Thompson basically saying like that he doesn't want to have to like work himself back into the role that he was on the Warriors. Instead, he wants to just jump back in and be good to go, which about a year ago wouldn't have been that big of a problem. However, now you have a small problem. Jordan Poole plays shooting guard, and you can't move him down to small forward because that's what Andrew Wiggins plays. Now, I'm not telling y'all that Jordan Poole is better than Klay Thompson. That's not what I'm trying to get at, but what I am trying to get at is that Jordan Poole's been doing really well, and if you bench him to 6th man, that can mess with his development. Obviously, I don't think they want to trade him. I mean, he's definitely going to be a part of this championship run. However, do you start Klay Thompson his first game back in 2 years? I think that if Klay Thompson does make his return on Christmas, that it would be smart for the Warriors to start him on Christmas Day just to see how good, you know, he's doing back in the NBA. But also, I think it's also smart if you do have him come off the bench, because we legitimately don't know how Klay Thompson is going to do his first game back. He could go for 50 points or he can go for 5 points and be super gassed. I will say though, the energy at the Chase Center when Klay Thompson does make his return is going to be crazy, and if it's on national television, you're gonna want to watch. Yesterday, before the game versus the Phoenix Suns, Klay Thompson was in full uniform warming up before the game, and honestly, he looked like his old self, which has to be such a good sign, because slowly and slowly as Klay Thompson is supposed to be making his return, he still looks good. I think it's also crazy when you think about it that the Golden State Warriors have been dominating and currently do have the #1 seed after just beating the Phoenix Suns without Klay Thompson and James Wiseman, which in itself is already crazy to me that this team is so good without technically another superstar. It's just a whole system with the Golden State Warriors, which if you love basketball, like actual basketball, and you're not a casual, you would enjoy watching the Golden State Warriors. Now, I made a tweet yesterday about Draymond Green, which if you're not following my Twitter, you should, but I said that he's one of of the most underrated players in the NBA and that he's basically the quarterback of the Warriors. Now obviously Steph Curry is very much valuable to the Warriors, and if he's not in the game, you know, they don't win. But I feel like Draymond Green is someone that is a lot more valuable than people give him credit for. Now when I watch basketball games, you know, I don't watch like your normal fan. I watch, you know, certain things that maybe you guys don't pay attention to. For example, I like to look at, you know, different offenses that are ran, or maybe, you know, just player movement. Like when you watch Steph Curry literally run a mile within like one play and just going back and forth. Now for most basketball teams, you know, the quarterback is normally the point guard or the shooting guard, but it's mostly a shooting guard acting like a point guard. Very rarely is it a small forward, maybe with guys like LeBron James or Luka Doncic, but Draymond Green is the quarterback of the Golden State Warriors. The play he's able to make out of nothing is insane to me. I mean, when you look at him stats wise and physically, you know, it's not that impressive. He's a 6'7" power forward who's okay at shooting. He's someone that can drive, you know, he's someone that's okay at driving to the rim. But what's most important to me when I look at Draymond Green is his playmaking ability and even just running the offense. He makes plays that I don't even think the other teams or even people watching the game thought he was gonna make. I mean, he has vision that is insane and is definitely underrated. Now I don't know if this is necessarily just a Draymond Green thing. He could also be a system player that if he went to literally any other team, he would not be as efficient, which I mean isn't necessarily a bad thing in my opinion. I mean, there are of course, you know, system players in the NBA, and there are some players that will dominate on any team. Draymond Green isn't gonna drop 30 points per game. He's not gonna, you know, have a crazy amount of rebounds. He's not gonna shoot the lights out, but what he does is he runs a very hard offense and can make plays you don't see. If the NBA had an award that basically showed everything that you wouldn't really see on the stat sheet, like a player that did things that in a basketball standpoint mean a lot, but to statistics and to casual fans means nothing, I think Draymond Green would take that award, to be honest. Obviously he's not a superstar and he'll probably never be an all-star again in his career, but he definitely is up for defensive player of the year. I guess I wanted to end off this video on basically just reminding people that Klay Thompson is going to be back in literally a couple weeks. We're not that far away, and with the way the Golden State Warriors look right now, being the #1 seed and not just the Western Conference but having the best record in the NBA, I think it's safe to say that Klay Thompson's return will basically mean nothing, but in a basketball standpoint it'll mean a lot more. I know that sounded really confusing and I might not be making sense, but basically what I'm trying to say is that Klay Thompson joining the Warriors, it's not going to change their record. They're still going to be a top team in the NBA. However, him coming back is only adding to the Golden State Warriors though, and is going to make them better. Now James Wiseman is a player I haven't really been talking about because I feel like when he got injured, you know, we kind of just stopped talking about him and his value, but James Wiseman is supposed to be returning. Now, it's not going to be when Klay Thompson does. I mean, he hasn't even been scheduled for 5-on-5 contact. Yeah, he hasn't been cleared for anything, but I think his presence definitely will be met when he returns to the Golden State Warriors. I don't know if he's going to start. I think they like where Kevon Looney is, but I guess we're just going to have to find out. If you guys are ready for the return of Klay Thompson and you guys want to see him do well, make sure you do leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new. I'm trying to hit 5,000 by the end of the year, so if you guys could subscribe, that'd get me very much closer to my goal and it means the world to me. Hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Peace.